roll your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast, Sarah Brigid Brown.
Thank you, Katie. I am so excited to be here with you today.
Oh, it's lovely to be in a room with you again, Sarah. It's been a while. We've had a journey together for, well, it's almost a year. I think it was last September when you came into the Evolving on Purpose book, which I'm just going to put out there because this is a book we've already collaborated in together.
Yeah, it was beginning of September. So in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be celebrating our first anniversary together, aren't we?
We are. And it's been wonderful. I think it's been wonderful as well to watch each other evolve over the last year.
I was
very
just gonna
fitting for the title of the book, isn't it?
I was just going to say the same. I mean, obviously, I think of you often because, first of all, you know, you gave me that opportunity to fulfill one of my dreams, which was to become a published author. But when I look at the title and the Evolving on Purpose, which was what drew me to you and the book anyway in the first place, but when I see how I've evolved over the past year, and like you said, and how you've evolved, it's fantastic. It's almost as if, I mean, I know you manifest your book titles as well, but it's almost as if being part of the book has helped me at least to evolve on purpose since then, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense. I've got shivers running through my body as we're talking about this, because for me, now I think that the books have been channeled through me, and now I can see that they're not just a book, they're a spiritual journey, each title. And it's been like my path. Each book that's come up is my next step in the journey. And things have happened. We'll talk about the book that we're about to launch on the 9th of September, which is Entangled No More. And I actually announced that book title about a year ago. So it's been a long journey to for all of the authors to eventually come in together, because this is a difficult topic, the difficult subject, difficult topics to write about. People have, you know, there've been people in it and who have pulled out. It's not an easy thing to talk about, the situations in your life that have been toxic. So again, since I announced the book title, I wrote the first chapter back in November. I've been on a journey literally of disentangling my life. So how has that been for you? Obviously, you've been on the same journey. You're the only author from the first book that's come into this book and stayed. So what's that journey been like for you?
Well, when I first signed up, it was like the logical thing to do, the next best step for me to do, especially I think looking back, because I was on the high from the launch, the really successful launch of Evolving on Purpose. And when that popped up, the Entangled No More, similar to what you've just said, I was like, oh yeah, I could write a book about that, let alone a chapter. So signed up more or less immediately, I think, didn't I? And then it was sort of like, well, what am I going to write? Because in a way I had so much to write about, being able to condense that into a chapter, that was like the first thing. And it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And I remember that you had put it out there and it was going to be published a lot earlier than it now is. And I was getting a lot of panic setting in about this, about, oh my goodness, but I don't even know where I'm going to start. And like the deadline's looming. And I actually, at one point, just relaxed into the whole thing. And that's when I think the universe actually really took over, A, for me, but also B, for the book, because the launch was rescheduled and then rescheduled. And I was like, well, thank you, universe, in a way, because I wasn't ready. I really thought that I was ready because I had so much to say. And there was something that wasn't ready in me. And looking back now, I think that I had to also experience a very big loss at the beginning of this year when my father passed away quite suddenly in February. And I really feel that I needed to go through that experience first so that I was actually able to write about the toxic relationships, because a lot of them related to my childhood, and a lot of things came up around his death after he had passed away. And so I really think that I needed to reconnect to that as well. And when I actually sat down to write my chapter, it flowed like the first chapter in Evolving on Purpose. And it really, really felt as though I had made peace with a lot. I think there were still some things there, but with a lot of things that I've been struggling with for practically most of my life.
Thank you for sharing that. I myself as well, after writing that chapter in November, had something happen for me where my ex-husband's brother died. And so I landed myself back in communications with my ex, and eventually had to pull myself back and really close the door. So for me, there was a huge piece of change and transformation and growth there, because I was still holding on in a small way. I was still feeling like I needed to be there for him when his brother died. So I had to do that. And when I closed that door, you've seen the shifts that have happened over the last few months with me and my relationship as well, because I've manifested a beautiful relationship because I actually closed the door and disentangled from the past. So
exactly.
Yeah. Do you want to share a bit about your chapter, Sarah? Not too much, because we don't want to give it all away. We want you all to go out and support us and buy the book on the 9th of September, which is a full moon weekend. We've just timed that one perfectly.
We have, and 9 is one of my lucky numbers, because 3 is my number, so any multiples of 3. So 9 at 9 a.m. It's just like, that is lighting it all up for me. And it's also one of my son's birthdays, but anyway, so it's a brilliant day for me. But yeah, of course, what I really want to share actually is the title, because then a lot of things will follow on from that. So the title is The Shift of Consciousness from Victim and Rescuer to Creator and Coach, because that's really how I feel now. And I am fully embodying my creative side. So I don't really talk about the creative side in the chapter. I talk more about how the shift of consciousness came about, and how I went from being this victim, which I didn't realize at the time, and I don't think any of us do, and definitely being the rescuer and the people pleaser. So I talk more about that, and the journey, in fact, of how I finally opened my eyes to the toxic relationships that I had been in. And I talk specifically about one in particular, because as I said, I did have many, many stories to tell. But I felt that this one was the pivotal story. And it's really helped me to gain closure on that. And since I submitted my chapter a couple of months ago, I have actually also had another shift of consciousness, because I have really, really reconnected to who I am, which is what I've been doing for years anyway on my personal journey. But I've really reconnected to who I am. And I'm in the middle of rebranding even my business. So things have become a lot clearer. Things have become a lot more aligned. And I am really, really passionate now about helping other sensitive, emotional people to break free of toxic relationships related to their family, to their close family in particular, and to really help them shift the past narrative, to overcome any pain that they're still feeling from that past, then to be able to awaken to their truth, which will then enable them to really, really embody who they are and rise up and be the leaders of their lives. And I know that this is now my life purpose. So it's really, really, really helped all of that just sort of like land, if you like, as well.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's just, oh, it's shivers again, shivers all over my body, because that's the point, isn't it? I think that was the point of these book collaborations. I think there's just a lot of clarity that you get on the journey, and as you unravel each story, there's something else, there's another step, there's another direction that you won't have logically thought of, but suddenly you feel into where it is that you're supposed to be, what it is that you're supposed to be doing, from your soul's point of view. You suddenly end up following your soul's purpose. That when we've got all of this noise around us on the internet, we're listening sometimes to what we think we should be doing, but it's deep within here, when there's a deep knowing, isn't there? And
Yeah,
you sort of need to shut off the noise of everything else around you to connect in with that. Is there
definitely.
anything you'd like to share about the work that you're doing and how you're going to be helping people who may want to come and find you from reading your chapter?
Yeah, well, I think you started to talk about it just now at the end, Katie, because this is really it. For me, my noise was the toxicity. Looking back, I mean, I love hindsight. And I often say to this to
Yeah.
people, I just, I love hindsight, tells us everything. But a lot of people, A, don't even know that they're in toxic relationships to begin with. And B, don't realize that that can be the noise. It definitely was for me, because I've been on this spiritual journey for over 20 years now. And each time, like you say, there's another layer, isn't there? There's another thing that happens that you uncover. And to be honest with you, when I first embarked on this journey, I just thought, oh, well, yeah, I'll do the work and then that's it. It's all done and dusted. And that's, that's the end of that sort of thing. Well, it's not. And it's a beautiful journey. So how I help people is, first of all, to make them aware of what a toxic relationship can look like to them. For me, for example, it was always being told that I was too emotional, I was so serious, I was too sensitive, all of the twos and all of this. And so I just took that on board, because obviously, especially as a young child, you don't know any better. So if you can resonate, first of all, with any of the twos, or you're not enough of this, that can be a sign of being in a toxic relationship. Another sign that I realized of being in a toxic relationship is like this love-hate. And so at the end of the day, you don't really know where you are with that person. They say they love me sometimes, but then what they do and what they can also say to me is so spiteful and so harmful and so soul destroying at times, that do they really love me? And then if they say they do, but then they act like that, then maybe I'm the problem. And for years, for most of my adult life, well, for most of my life and my adult life, I thought I was the problem as well. So if any of what I'm saying is resonating to you already, then I invite you to reach out, because this can really be like pointing you in the right direction. And then once we have actually identified where this is coming from, then I will create a safe, empathic space for you to take as long as you need to unravel everything that you need to unravel. And I will always, always go at your pace. So I am definitely not one for saying, you need to have finished this within 3 months, whatever. I used to do that as well. It's interesting, because we've both evolved about how we work with people. So I work with people for a minimum of 3 months, because of the work we do. It's so deep that, depending on obviously the not the level that you come in at, but the work that, let's say, depending on the work that you've already done on yourself, in my experience, 3 months is a minimum time period to work on this. And then it will take as long as it takes. And so the idea is for you to really become comfortable with your past story and be able to disentangle yourself from all of that, then to be able to gain the clarity to redefine who you are and what you want with your life. And then the last phase, if you like, of that sort of journey, with me at least, is to then bring that into reality. And you create your reality. We all create our own reality. So the work that you will do is to go so, so deep that you do connect to your soul again, that you do connect to who you really are. And often people are very surprised at what comes through. It's like, oh, I've never thought of that, or I never thought I would be able to do that. And it's just so beautiful to see the transformations that are possible. I mean, I've had some people who have totally reinvented everything in their lives. So they have left the partner, they have done some new training, they've got a new job, they've got a new house to live in. Sometimes they've even moved town. Other people are very, very happy with most of what they have created in their lives, but there's something missing, so they'll add in that missing piece, whatever it is. But it's just so beautiful to see these transformations. So that's how I work. It's really connection to the soul, connection to your intuition, going at your own pace, and really respecting yourself, because I find as well that people who've been in toxic relationships don't even know how to respect themselves and don't even know how to respect their own needs. And so we do a lot of work on that as well.
That's beautiful. And when you spoke there about the love-hate relationship, immediately what came into me was that a song I really connected to my last marriage was the Pavarotti and Celine Dion song, I Hate You Then I Love You, and it tore me apart, that song. And there's another song from The Greatest Showman called Never Enough, which made me cry. Is because those songs connect. So if you're crying at songs like that, you've got that's a good example of how you're feeling torn. And I think the way you said there that you provide a safe space, safety is the most important thing that we need when we're on this journey, to feel safe with someone, to feel safe to express our inner deepest feelings and stories, because sometimes these stories are hard to share as well, aren't they? Which we've just seen with it taking this long to be able to actually finally pull this book together and put these chapters out there, because you know there's been a lot of rewrites. I've just rewritten mine 2 days ago because so much has changed since I first wrote it. But they're stories that are difficult to share because of the people that you're potentially still connected to, or you know the people that are looking at what we're doing and how we think or feel that they might be judging us for that. So we've had to do a lot of work on being able to move past that and to be able to share what we need to share to heal, but as well to educate other people.
Yes, for sure. And I just wanted to finish by saying that I actually feel now that this is much bigger than me. So I needed to share my part of the story because I know that I am there to help other people. Do you see what I mean?
I
When
do,
I did
because
Evolving
that's
on
how I
Purpose,
feel.
it was more for me. Yeah. And this time it's like a much bigger purpose. And so I totally get where you're coming from about, will people read it and judge us for it? Well, maybe they will, but I'm really, really pleased that now I can actually say that's okay. I'm ready for that now.
And I think as well that the subject of this book, we've realized what a huge problem this is globally. Toxic relationships. I worked I ran a mental health charity for 7 years, and I witnessed that most people's issues have come from the relationships that they're surrounded by. That's another thing that I may be judged for saying, but it was going on in my family as well. And then I witnessed everybody that came in, what their connections were like, what their networks were like, or the lack of networks. So it is a huge problem, and mental health is the biggest issue that we've got facing us across the world since the pandemic, isn't it? So I think the book is timely, and if this resonates with you, come along and support us for the launch in the Entangled No More Facebook group. We'd love to see you there. So Sarah, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
The best places for now are either on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel, because as I said, I'm in the middle of rebranding, and so the website link will maybe change. So there is the link in the book, and if it does change, you'll just be redirected. So you can find me on Facebook, and you can also find me on my YouTube channel, which is called So Free Coaching.
And is there anything else you'd like to share before we leave?
Yeah, if I may, I just want to read a very, very short poem, which is the end of my chapter. It's just 4 lines, and it's the medicine woman's prayer, and I love it. I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light. And that really sums up how I help people on their journey.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I will see you on the book launch.
Yeah, can't wait.
Bye for now.
Bye, Katie.
So ask yourself.